G'day guys, how you going? Hope you're well. It's Friday and I'm here to do probably a pretty short and sharp little preview of our round 14. Geez, the season's getting away from us, isn't it? Round 14 against the West Coast Eagles. The second time we played this might be 2025. Doesn't seem that long ago that we played them in Gather Round. And it's the last game of the round. And I'm in a bit of pain, guys, at the moment. I've got a really sore shoulder. I'm holding off on taking any anti-inflammatory tablets, and I'm very close to very close to going to the physio. So if there is, out of the 4,000 subscribers that I've got, if there's anyone who's got some advice and maybe a quick diagnosis. I know it's a deltoid, it's left, and it's kind of right in deep here, right in deep. And I haven't been doing anything like physical, as in weights or swinging a golf club or I don't know what I've done, but it's got to the point where just putting on a t-shirt or taking off a jumper, just lifting my arm above my head, it's like grabbing and it's sore. It's sore. And I'm not worried about it. It's just giving me a little bit of grief. And it's probably age related. So definitely deltoid, but in deep. Tell me what I need to do. Tell me what it is. Give me some hope. Anyway, the West Coast Eagles, round 14, guys, at Optus Stadium on Sunday, 6:10 our time, Eastern Standard Time, and 3:10 in Perth. Kind of feels weird, doesn't it, when you watch these games and you go, oh, it's actually only 3 o'clock over there. And it's kind of cold and dark here in Melbourne, and you're watching this game over there, and it's going to be a beautiful day in Perth, 21 degrees on Sunday. No breeze to speak of, or hardly any breeze to speak of, and they do expect maybe a shower or two early in the morning, but should be perfect for the start of the game. No excuses at all, really, over there. In fact, doesn't really matter what the conditions are. There shouldn't be any excuses. We haven't travelled well, really. We have not travelled well. Although not this time last year, but late in the year, we did go across there with pretty much a VFL team, and against a basket case, really, the Eagles. They certainly put the cue in the rack. There was no fight in them when we played them there last year, although we thought they might put up a bit of a fight. But yeah, we took a relatively young squad across there last year and got the job done easily. So our record is really strong against the West Coast Eagles over the last 2 or 3 seasons. They've been just such a horrible team to watch. A little bit better this year, but just a horrible, horrible football team to watch. And if you think we've got it bad, I think they're still in for a fair bit of pain. Although, who knows how quickly Andrew McWalter can turn this around. Maybe they've made some inroads this year. It certainly doesn't show on the ladder. They've won one game and they've copped some beltings along the way, but they've had some close-ish games where they've pushed teams. But overall, it's another very disappointing season for the West Coast Eagles, and maybe they're looking at this game. Maybe they're looking at this one at home, penciling it in, coming off a pretty disappointing 10-point loss against North Melbourne up in Bunbury. And I watched that game, and geez, they've got some supporters of West Coast Eagles. Like, they've got some supporters who are just there praying for a win, and it looked like they had that game. But they just, I don't know, they don't seem to have any fight. Like, they don't have the fight. There's some talent there, but there's so many question marks on their group still. Who really wants to be there? Who's invested? How is Andrew McWalter working through that? Because it must be difficult for him in his first season to have some question marks on, one of their captains, Oscar Oscar Allen, you know, just what happened there, and even someone like Tim Kelly, who I really rate as a footballer, just is he really? I don't know, is he really invested? And Harley Reid as well is he's going to be an absolute superstar in time, but does he necessarily want to be at the Eagles? It must be a difficult job, sort of navigating his way through that. Some new players into the club who will help in time, but they've still got a lot of work to do. But so have we, like, fucking hell, so have we. We're going to get that. I actually can't, well, I don't know if I'll be able to watch this game live. It kind of annoys me when this happens. Although, the way I'm feeling about the club at the moment, and I'm not going to beat a dead horse in this video, I just want to stick to the game, but I think you know my feelings. Like, if you're new to the channel, just go back through my videos over the last month or so, and I've been pretty scathing, but it's like beating a dead horse. It's like beating a dead horse. What I will say is the talk around we need to take this one step at a time, almost a sense that we've scaled right back and this is essentially a team and its kind of infancy is just garbage from my point of view. We need to be making massive improvements right across the board and in all aspects of performance, and that needs to happen in the short term. I understand you don't click your fingers and you suddenly change, but at the same time, to use that as an excuse or like a reason it's going to take one step at a time is just like, what are we? Are we the Eagles? Are we? Like, are we essentially like the West Coast Eagles? You know, like that's something I'd expect probably Andrew McWalter to say. You know, like it's going to be, this is quite a long process. We knew it was going to be a tough battle. You know, taking one step at a time. That's what I expect from a North Melbourne or West Coast Eagles, or not a team that's essentially been, well, the expectation should have been pretty high coming into the start of this year. I'm expecting a win. Like, I'll put it on the table now, I'm expecting a win. What that looks like, I don't know. I don't know what the win looks like. I don't even know exactly how much of this game will enthuse me. As I said, I can't watch it live. I'll be up in Morwell on Sunday. Got a Coates Talent League game up there. Jets are playing the Gippsland Power in Morwell. I think it's around about a 2.5 hour drive from Werribee. I've never been there before. May have been to Morwell before, but never to the ground. Never watched football there before. So yeah, looking forward to going up and watching that. With a highly rated or touted Willem Dersma, who plays for the Gippsland Power, just represented Vic Country as well on the weekend. Predicted maybe to go top 10. I'm not quite sure. They're raving on about him. I've seen him play. I've seen him play before in an under 17s Vic Metro game, and he didn't kind of impress me in that game. Although he's had a really good start to this season. So I'll watch him play on the weekend. I'll give a small report to see how he goes. Whether he is top 10 quality, that's probably the thing, because there are a lot of draft gurus who are, putting him in their top 10 at the moment. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure about that. So that's on Sunday. We should get back before 6 o'clock. We should. It's always a difficult one, isn't it? Whether you put it on the radio in the car or just wait. I've got a car full of people. Don't tell us the score. Just wait till we get home, and then we'll put it on delay. And anyway, we're going to get that sort of Sunday evening sound of Adam Papalia, the Fox footy commentator there in Perth. He's actually a really good commentator. He's been with Fox now, I reckon, for probably 5 or 6 years, I reckon. He does all the Perth games at this time slot. Him and Matthew Pavlich and Will Schofield, and there's always maybe a Victorian representative who's obviously in the studio back here. They've used Adam Simpson this year as well. It's always like a Jared Healy or a Jason Dunstall. That's my prediction, but it's got the last game of the round Sunday evening tone. I reckon he called Adam Papalia, if you don't know what I'm talking about, he definitely didn't call the Jack Nunes goal during COVID, after the siren goal. I reckon that was James Brayshaw. That must have been on Channel 7. But he definitely called the Mark Murphy goal where we stole it late against the Dockers. I don't know how long ago that was now. But he definitely called that. He's a really good commentator. I think he's an Eagles supporter. But he certainly doesn't show it in the way he calls the game. He's very accurate. I really enjoy his work. But it's just that, I know, these games, I really enjoy this time slot. I don't know why. I just really enjoy this time slot on a Sunday. It's almost like you don't want the weekend to end. You want to drag it out as much as you can. So I like these 6 o'clock games on a Sunday, which is drag it out for a couple of hours to 8:30, and then they usually put that bounce on. Oh my God, that bounce. Isn't that fucking dreadful? TV, the bounce. Oh my God, as soon as the game's finished, I switch off. I just don't watch that. I'd rather stick pins in my eyeballs than watch that. It is just dreadful TV. Anyway, excuse me. There's sort of similarities, like these two clubs. Both are, I mean, the Eagles won a premiership in 2018, but they've been fucking horrible. And we haven't been much better. We've been better than them, but we haven't been much better, particularly this year. But we're super strong off the field. Super strong, big supporter bases, resource rich. There's no problems there. There's no problems there. It's just getting the act together on field. So there's the similarities. But we've just had the wood over this mob. We've had the wood even when we went there last year when we were really battling and we took a VFL team, basically. We went across there and they just put no fight up at all. We played with a lot of energy in that game. We went across there. So I don't think the ground is not a concern for me at all. That ground with the way the Eagles play, it's probably a slight favour for them, a small percentage, but it's not a big contributor in this game. It's not like going to the Adelaide Oval and facing Port Adelaide or the Adelaide Crows. They're just not a very good football team at the moment. At the moment, they've shown small little patches, the Eagles, but they are. Yeah, they're not a good football team. And I don't know how many of their players on this list are truly invested in the football club. And he's got a tough gig first up. But he put his hand up to do the job, Andrew McWalter. But to have your skipper, at the start of the year, meet opposition clubs, does Harley Reid really want to be at the football club? Does Tim Kelly like playing football? There's just so much. It's little wonder when it gets really tough in games that they just don't find that extra level. Well, that's my feeling with the Eagles anyway. And they've got a lot of holes on that list, although they've got some good. If you look at I'll get to the team shortly. If you look at their sort of key position stocks, it's not too bad in this game. And they do have some genuine firepower in their front half if they can get their game going. But they don't bat deep in the midfield. It's not like we're flying in the midfield, but they certainly don't bat deep enough. And they've really struggled to find a really strong ruckman. Really since Nick Nat-Nui and Dean Cox. It's been a real battle to find a really, I don't know, just a serviceable big man. It's been hit and miss for them. And I expect, based on what he's shown last week, Tom De Koning, to have a bit of an influence on this game once again. But I'll get to the teams. We made a mockery of them and gather round. absolute mockery of them. They just didn't come. They didn't come to play in that game, and we're facing them again, and we smacked them by 71 points. They were tripe, they were poo, and we just had winners all over the ground. You know, it was just far too easy, and we beat them by 65 points last year, as I mentioned before, with the VFL team. And it's funny, actually, I was sort of thinking, and I was doing a little bit of research yesterday, guys. We've usually, the last 2 times we've played this mob, we've debuted players. So last year, when we faced them in round 23, we debuted Ashton Moyer and Cooper Lord. And Jackson Binns was playing his first full game. And this year we debuted Matthew Carroll. But we won't be debuting anyone in this game. We've got Corey Durden, Lewis Young and Jordan Boyd, who have all joined in the extended squad. That final announcement of the teams will take place this evening. I would have loved to have seen another debutant in this game. I'm finding I'm trying to find something within myself to really have a lot of interest at the moment, and that is for me seeing more youngsters come through. It doesn't have to be all at the one time, but I would have potentially liked to have seen, instead of a Durden, Lewis Young, Jordan Boyd, maybe seeing Durden's name there was okay, but maybe instead of Lewis Young, see a Harry Lemmy. Instead of a Jordan Boyd, maybe saw a Billy Wilson, if you know what I mean. Now, obviously Lewis Young, they're thinking about maybe a defensive role, but I don't think he'll play. But those ins, to me, look a little bit sort of boring. That's the way it is. So what else? That game earlier in the year, I mean, Sam Walsh had a field day. What do you have? 37 and 3 goals. Hewitt had 39, which was a career high. And Corey Durden, first game back, kicked a career high 4 goals. So there was records galore in that game. And it was the game that Harry, who won't play in this game, second week running, he won't play with knee soreness, which is okay. We get to see Hudson O'Keefe again to see what he's got to offer, potentially moving forward. He was knocked out early in that game. Big hit by a player I really rate. He's actually not playing for the Eagles in this game, is Tom Gross, who won't be playing. He cleaned Harry up and he took no further part in the game with some concussion. And that was the game he came back after those sort of mental health issues which he had. So the Eagles are like 1 win for the year. They were competitive against Brisbane in round 2. Big deal. That's a long time ago. And a lot of teams have been competitive against Brisbane at the Gabba. I mean, we saw Essendon very competitive against them as well. So that was probably nearly, other than their win against St Kilda, nearly their best performance for the season against, I suppose, quality opposition. But they've been flogged. They've had some big beltings, not sort of in the categories of being the sort of beltings they've had in previous years, but lost by 81 against GWS, lost the derby by 38 points against the Dockers, lost by 2 points at home against Essendon, lost by 50 against Hawthorn at Marvel, lost by 32 against a struggling Melbourne at Optus Stadium. They pretty unlucky against Richmond. Richmond lost by 2 points at the D. Then they toppled the Saints by 28 points. The Crows did a number on them at the Adelaide Oval, and the Crows are very good at home, obviously, big scoring football team. And they kind of pushed Geelong for 3 quarters. I think they only trailed by 7 points early in that last quarter. But like Geelong do against a lot of football teams, once they get you, they can pile on the goals, and they did exactly that. And they'll be bitterly disappointed with their 10-point loss to North last week, where they actually dominated that game for huge periods. And at one stage there, it looked like it was just going to be a very, very solid win for them, but they just could not score. They could not score. Paper they look okay. Like Ginby's been okay as a defender. He's not like a No, he's not like this classical running defender who's got pristine skills. He's a real hard nut. Does he go to Charlie? Does Ginby go to Charlie? I think they played Ginby on Charlie Cameron a few weeks back. Was that correct? Did he play on Charlie Cameron? Not Charlie Cameron. Not Charlie Cameron. From Geelong. Oh, Cameron. What's his fucking name? What's his name? Geelong. Christ almighty, he's one of the best players in the competition, and I can't even think of what his fucking name is. Jeremy fucking... I don't know about my shoulder, guys. I think it's my brain, which is fucked. Jeremy Cameron. I reckon Ginby played on Jeremy Cameron a few weeks back. Does he get Charlie? He's tough enough to maybe niggle Charlie. Harry Edwards is just a solid key defender. He'll probably get big Hudson O'Keefe if he starts there. Marrick's got really good skills. Liam Duggan, skipper of the footy club. He's actually hit a bit of form, Liam Duggan, using the ball a lot better. I like the look of Sandy Brock, their SSP pickup. I really like the look of him. Rangy type with a nice left foot. And Liam Baker, we know he will bring the energy. He's a good footballer. Dewar, up and coming player. Brodie Hoff, the fans love him. The Eagles fans love Brodie Hoff. Jaden Hunt can do a job. And you think about those two players they got from Richmond. They're the kind of heart and soul type players that you would expect when it gets really hard. When it gets really hard and the game is up for grabs, when it gets really close, you would think the likes of Liam Baker and Jack Graham, they're the ones that will galvanise the group. But I don't know if it's actually worked out that way. Jack Williams looks good. Liam Ryan is one of my favourite players in the competition. He could be a nightmare. I'm trying to think who would be a possible matchup for him because I don't like the idea of Nick Haynes going to him. It might even be if Mitch McGovern does play in defence, it could be a job for Mitch McGovern. I remember Kate Simpson played on Liam Ryan once and did a really good job on him. He's still a very dangerous player. Same with Cripps. On his day, he's very dangerous. Oscar Allen, where's his head at? But he's good for a goal or two. Need Wiedering to find some form. We need him to find some form. Does Wiedering go to Williams? A little bit bigger, probably a little bit slower. Oscar Allen's got some real mobility, so that probably will be the job for Jack Silvani. And Elijah Hewitt is finally starting to show some real development. I thought he was really good last week against North as that high half forward, got up the ground, kicked a few goals. Matt Flynn is a real battler in the ruck. We should have some advantages there. Tim Kelly, mentioned him. Is his head always in the game? On his day, when everything is going well, Tim Kelly can take you to the cleaners. And Harley Reid, well, I'm just always just excited to watch him play. What he's doing within a game, off the ball, some of the things he can do, whether it's taking marks, kicking goals, he needs to build consistency in his game. But he's certainly exciting to watch. I don't know who they'll go with on the bench. I would think Tyler Brockman plays small forward. He's been pretty good for them. I don't think they'll drop Archer Reid, will they? I mean, he's the other big that he can give a chop out to Matt Flynn in the ruck. They've named Bailey J. Williams, the other ruckman, on the bench. Really, I don't care. Tom McCarthy could be the debutant. He's the boy they picked up from Richmond VFL in a mid-season draft. AP players wouldn't mind having a look at him, but I'm not necessarily concerned about the Eagles' extended bench. Anyway, our team, I mentioned those ins. Do you realise Lewis Young's been dropped 3 times this year? So if he comes back into this team, he's not a certainty to stay in if he does make his way in. He's actually already been dropped 3 times. And the other two have been axed as well. Corey Durden's been axed from this team. He didn't even play in the VFL last week. I know he must have been an emergency. Didn't play in the VFL. Jordan Boyd performed strongly in the VFL, but so did a number of other players. So they've gone conservative. I'll start with that interchange, guys, that extended interchange. Cooper Lord's not going anywhere. It's out of Corey Durden, Will White, and Orazio Fantasia. You would think they'll probably take two of those. My feeling is Will White won't play. Don't know, that knee doesn't look great. He's been the sub. Maybe he needs a full game under his belt. Maybe he needs a rest. I don't know, but I get the impression Will White may come out, and Corey Durden, who's played well, he played really well on this ground last year in round 23. He was excellent as that high half forward. I don't like Orazio Fantasia in this team. I just think he does nothing. But I think he'll play. I don't reckon Lewis Young will play unless there's a concern or a laid out with one of our bigs. He will not play. So to have it a guess, we'll know at 5:20 tonight. I think it will be Cooper Lord, Orazio Fantasia, Corey Durden, there's 3. Blake Acres, there's 4. And do they drop Matthew Carroll and bring Jordan Boyd in? There's your 5. Yeah, I think that's what it would be. So I reckon Carroll out, Will White out, Lewis Young doesn't play. So we've got Cooper Lord, Fantasia, Acres, that's 3, Durden 4, and Jordan Boyd 5, and you have to pick a sub. Well, you could pick a sub for anyone. Doesn't necessarily have to be from those players there. Looking at the teams, got Ollie Hollands on the half-back flank. Love to see him be pushed up to a wing role at some stage. I'm fascinated to see what we do with Alex Chincotta. I'm not a believer in the complete lockdown. A player whose just sole role is to stop the opposition's best midfielder. It worked for a period of time last year, but the best clubs in the competition, they just work that out and they start to play through other players. I don't think we're a good enough team to be doing that necessarily. And it is a very conservative move. So what does he offer other than just being a lockdown player, Alex Chincotta? Because the supporters seem to love him. They seem to love him. I can't wait to see Hudson O'Keefe in his second game. Would like to see him spend a little bit more time in the ruck, but obviously Tom De Koning's going very well, and he's the type of player that just wants to have big ruck minutes. So what does that look like in the front half? He took 4 or 5 contested marks on the week against Essendon, which was a massive positive, but that was against such an undersized Essendon backline. Like, their tallest player in their backline was Jaden Laverty. That was it. So I'm expecting a bloke that's 201 centimetres to clunk a few. I understand it was his first game, but this will be, and I know it's only the Eagles, but he's going to come up against, a Sandy Brock, who's every bit 200 centimetres, and Harry Edwards, a lot bigger players in that game. So this is a bigger test I reckon, for Hudson O'Keefe than it was against the Essendon Footy Club. And, if we're talking about him potentially being a forward ruck, or is he a ruck forward? I still think he's a ruck forward and more of a ruckman, but we're not going to see him in the ruck because of what Tom De Koning is doing at the moment. Loving the form of Jack Silvani in the back half. I'm still looking to bring a little bit more youth and a little bit more speed into that back line. I know they got Ollie Hollands down there, but I can't wait for the day that they bring in a Billy Wilson. And I want to see a hell of a lot more from that front half. Lockie Fogarty, Charlie Curnow's season has been really underwhelming so far, really underwhelming. And we need a significant lift from both Patrick Cripps and also Jacob Wiedering in this game, guys. Anyway, tell us what you think. And I'll speak to you probably on Monday to do a review of this game. It's just like, I said I was going to keep this short and sweet, and I've just banged on for 29 minutes. Well, actually 29 and 52. Don't forget my shoulder, guys. Don't forget my shoulder, please. Just some advice would be greatly appreciated. Catch ya.